Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. It's Dr. Ramon Goings with the Done Dissertation. In today's video, I want to talk about why your expectations are holding you back from finishing the dissertation process. And again, for those who don't know me, I'm Dr. Ramon Goings with the Done Dissertation, and we demystify the dissertation process so that you as a doctoral student can finish your dissertation in a year or less. And I want to chat with you today about how we need to think differently about our expectations and why your expectations may be holding you back from finishing your dissertation. This particular video series comes from a number of conversations I've had with doctoral students over the past week since we last met last week. And they often are talking about and often hold unrealistic expectations about how the dissertation process will go. And so I want to talk about some of those expectations today that get in your way from finishing the dissertation process. And so if it's something that you want to hear more about, put a 1 in the chat just so I know we have folks with me. But I want to keep moving forward because I have some valuable information I want to get to you all today. And so the first piece I want to talk about your expectation. What I am finding is that for a lot of doctoral students, they have very unrealistic expectations in terms of time. And for time, I mean the time that it takes to complete the dissertation, the time that it takes to complete a chapter, the time that it takes to get feedback from committee members. When we go into the dissertation with unrealistic expectations, we will always be disappointed. And I want to give you an example because this is something I saw in my own practice as a faculty member, but it's something I've seen from a number of clients. Imagine, right? It's a Friday afternoon and a student submits their dissertation proposal, which is in excess of 80 pages on Friday afternoon. And in their email, it says, "Thank you so much for looking at my dissertation. I would love to get feedback by Monday so I can move forward. And also, what time can we schedule our my proposal defense for?" And as you all are thinking, like, Monday? I just got the work on Friday afternoon at that. Again, this expectation in terms of time for feedback was unrealistic. Because imagine as a person that you got an 80-page document and you only had 2.5 to 3 days to review and provide substantive feedback. You can imagine what type of feedback you get when someone is rushed like that. So as a student, you want to be very mindful of not rushing your faculty members when they're trying to give feedback. However, this goes back to our second aspect of you need to have realistic expectations of yourself and the people that you're working with. And so in this situation, whenever you submit a document to your dissertation chair or even someone like your dissertation committee members, you want to have an upfront conversation, preferably before you even submit your first draft of any document. You want to have an upfront conversation about expectations. Because I find that in the dissertation process, the expectation most likely goes wrong with your committee members and your chair around how long does it take to give feedback. And so imagine that you want to have this conversation up front so that you become you have a very much a strong understanding of what is the expectation for the turnaround time. Because again, I had a student who went into it with a 3-day turnaround, which was unrealistic. However, had we had a conversation possibly before, they would have known that my turnaround time would have been 2 to 3 weeks. And with that, knowing that, they would have already been able to address that and put that into their timetable on how to finish the dissertation. And again, I believe that every dissertation, you need to have a completion plan. So if you don't have your completion plan, shoot me a message because we need to talk about that immediately. And with your plan, you need to have a talk about expectations with everyone. And so 1, as I mentioned, you need to have realistic expectations of yourself. 2 is that you need to have realistic expectations of others. And so again, those committee members, you need to have a realistic expectation about what is the turnaround time on feedback. In my book, 14 Secrets to a Done Dissertation, a guide to navigating the dissertation process and finishing in record time, I recommend 4 to 5 weeks as an optimal turnaround time from faculty members to give you back something. But again, when you have a conversation, you may find out, hey, they're actually 4 to 5 days. It just depends on your faculty member. But you want to go into this having a conversation up front so you have all the expectations out in the open. So again, you need to have the realistic expectation of yourself in terms of how fast can you turn something around, but also understanding that you have faculty members who are engaging in research, teaching, and service, and you want to be mindful of their schedules and making sure that what you do aligns to what they have going on in their lives currently. And so there we have the realistic expectations of your other people. And then lastly, I want you to start thinking about what are the expectations that your family may have or your job may have of you. I think with the dissertation process, we often forget that we are working within various systems. And one of those systems is our familial system. So we have family members who are counting on us for various things. So I know for some of you all, you might be parents, you might be managing, taking care of relatives. You may have other responsibilities outside the dissertation, but you want to have a conversation with those key players and key people in your family life to talk about what is their expectation of you in terms of your time. And then putting things out in the open is so helpful, because then you can figure out, well, all right, I can work on my dissertation between these times because I know my family member is doing X, Y, and Z, because we talked about it and we're upfront about how this process will look. Also, it needs to be a conversation at your work. So I hope for some of you all that you have flexible workspaces where, your boss or whoever it is may provide time for you to work on your dissertation. Again, that is not always the case, but you need to have that conversation. So you can figure out, hey, is there days that I can come in a half hour late, or even, stay a half hour late to get some work done before I go home because I know what's going to happen when I get home. You all want to start thinking about those things up front. That way those expectations are managed, and then there's no issues or no squabbles that get in your way, because what will end up happening is that when you have things going on in your home and professional life, they directly impact your time to completion with the dissertation process. And so again, to recap, I just wanted this to be a quick video just to jump on and talk with you all, is that when we talk about why your expectations are getting in your way, one is that this expectation of yourself. And sometimes as doc students, we set unrealistic expectations in terms of how fast we can get something done. Two is that we have unrealistic expectations of faculty members in terms of how fast they're going to turn around things and give you feedback. And then three, we have unrealistic sometimes expectations of our family and jobs. And we need to have conversations with all three of these folks. So we need to have the internal conversation with ourselves to figure out what is realistic for me to get through a dissertation and get through a chapter to even write a section. And then that conversation needs to transition to where you're talking to, your dissertation chair or someone who's going to be helping you get through the process. And then third, you need to be having that conversation with your family, because again, you all are working with family who are sacrificing their time and, we're not having you there because you're working on your dissertation. So I don't want, because you had unrealistic expectations going into the process, that you get held back because you didn't have a conversation with your family. So these are so important to the expectations. And I'd be curious if you can drop in the comments when you see this either live or on the replay, is just look at and tell me about what expectations do you have of other people that you may find to be unrealistic. And then I would love to chat with you about how we can take those expectations and make them more realistic and how to engage in a conversation. If you're unsure about, how to get through this process, because again, the dissertation process is happening while you're trying to write this dissertation product. And if you don't have the right people in place, including having the family members that can support you as well as your job, whoever it is that's in your work life, it can be a barrier to completion. And so with that, I want you all to start thinking about who are those people that I need to have in place to help me get through this process. If you feel lost and you're not sure what to do with this, in my book, 14 Secrets to a Done Dissertation, in chapter 3, it's titled Reinvent Your Expectations and Reclaim Your Time. Because I find for doctoral students, the main barrier to getting through the process is actually time. And I think the time piece becomes an issue because of expectations. We may have expectations that we're going to get through quickly because, we can write fast, but we don't recognize that we're working with people, particularly committee members, who may have a slower timetable than what we want. And so again, I think chapter 3 of 14 Secrets to a Done Dissertation will be an extreme help to you all as you get through the process. And you can get this book at www.thedonedissertation.com/14 secrets. And if you find that with the book, you're getting some support, but you need more hands-on, you need more concrete support and just step-by-step process to get through the dissertation, then you should be joining and signing up for the Velocity Group Coaching Program. And our next cohort starts June the 1st. And you can learn more about that if you visit our website, www.thedonedissertation.com, and sign up for a free consultation. And during that call, the Blueprint consultation call, we will talk about where you are in a dissertation and how we can support you. And again, I look forward to hearing from you all about what expectations that you have that maybe have been unrealistic and have been preventing you from getting through the dissertation process. I promise you that one conversation that we have can change that, and you could be on your way to a done dissertation. And so again, I want to thank folks for tuning in. I just wanted to jump on again to talk about expectations For those who don't know, my name is Dr. Ramon Goings, founder of the Done Dissertation, where we demystify the dissertation process so that doctoral students can finish their dissertation in 1 year or less. And so with that, one piece of the finishing quickly is that understand what are the expectations to getting out of the program. Once you have realistic expectations, the process becomes so much easier because we can plan and map everything out. And if you want that plan, this is what we do in the Done Dissertation Velocity Group Coaching Program. And shoot me a DM, and I can be glad to send you information about that. Again, I want to thank you all for tuning in, and I'll be jumping back on probably about Friday to talk about some more. And if there are any in particular topics that you want to talk more about, feel free to shoot me a message, or also you can text me directly with your questions at 301-701-2466. And again, you can text me your question to 301-701-2466, and I'll be sure to incorporate them into future videos. I hope you all have a blessed Wednesday, and look forward to talking with you all on Friday, and as well as next week as we get into more aspects of getting you a done dissertation. So I hope you all have a blessed week.